also the singer, the author who sung Dolemite. What's up, man?
What's up, kind brother? How you doing?
Hey, man. If I was doing any better than what I'm doing, it'd probably be illegal.
That's good. You're doing good.
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
I'm blessed. Woke up this morning. Thank God for that. And I really appreciate you taking the time out from recording to talk to me regarding our friend, Rudy Ray Moore.
Well, it's my pleasure. You know, Rudy and I go way back, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to express my concerns and my involvement with Rudy and his project.
Okay. Now, hey, let's start right from the beginning. When and where did you meet Rudy Ray Moore?
Now you're trying to find out how old I am.
on the little slide tip there.
I met Rudy like 1965.
Okay.
When I first met Rudy Ray Moore, he was the manager at Dolphins of Hollywood, right there on Vernon and Central.
Okay.
And Tony was my manager of the group that I was singing with at the time called the 4 T's. We were on the road with Little Richard.
Okay.
We had just finished touring the country, and we were back from tour. And so Tony, eventually ended up working at Dolphins of Hollywood, and that's how he met Rudy. And then the rest is history. That's where it all began, right there. And we started working together because Rudy was definitely involved in music as well. And he had some projects that he was working on and some musical things that he had done. Because when I first met him, I remember I used to hear this song all the time on the radio station, and it would come on, and before the music would start, he would always say, "I hope this is a hit." This album called Eat Out More Often.
Okay, that's the first comedy record.
That's the first comedy record
that went big.
That went really big, yes.
And it also hit the charts.
It hits the charts. And when he did that album, mind you, there were a lot of distributors and people, different record companies. They thought that it was a piece of junk.
No, you can say the real word, man.
Well,
I say the real word.
Well, they thought, excuse me, but they said it was a piece of shit.
That's right.
And but Rudy was, what I liked about Rudy, he was determined. He didn't take no for an need for my ability to sing. He liked my voice. And at the time, we were all kind of living together in this big place right there on Central and 42nd Street.
Right up the street from the Dunbar?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Rudy had the whole upstairs, so it was a lot of rooms. And I had my own room, Tony had his, Rudy had his. Rudy would do a lot of actually Eat Out More Often.
Right.
That album was recorded upstairs. The biggest part of the album was recorded upstairs in that apartment.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, how did he manage to record a party record in an apartment?
Here's what he would do. Well, I don't know if you heard of Ted Brinson.
Yes, I heard of him.
Ted Brinson had his studio off of Washington. I think it was Washington and 4th Avenue or somewhere over there. And then Ted Brinson would bring his equipment over to the apartment, set it up to record. Then Rudy would have a party. He would invite lots of people over. And then once they come over, what we would do, we would brief them. We would tell them that this is a live recording, and we want them, what we want to do at the time we wanted them to do it. We want them to applaud or scream idioms or say some little crazy stuff at the time that we point and say do it.
Gotcha.
You at the cue, we would cue them.
Right.
And so that's how that album was done, and it was a lot of fun because, oh man, I mean, everybody was just enjoying themselves, and he would have a lot of parties, and then he finally moved into the Dunbar Hotel itself.
Okay.
Then he had that whole
downstairs.
Yeah.
I remember.
But that's the start of, well, now we're talking about movies.
Right.
But let me stay with the recording. You're not ready to go there yet.
No, we can stay with the recordings for a minute because Rudy's album, as you know, very explicit. You know, with of course the material and the album covers and all that. Now, Theodore Tony, explain who was Mr. Theodore Tony and his role in Rudy's life.
Well, Theodore Tony first was the manager of a group that I was singing with. We were on the road with. We toured the country and some parts of Canada with Little Richard.
Okay.
So Tony was our manager. So therefore, I got a chance to work with Gladys Knight and the Pills, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebell, Ike and Tina Turner, Sir Douglas Quintet, Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was a very good friend of mine.
Wow.
Jimmy was a very good friend of mine, and we used to be on the road together. And you know, when you're on the road out there, you have to do whatever it takes to kind of make ends meet. Sometimes you can't get to the barber shop, or you can't get to the cleaners in time, so you have to do things right there. So we kind of used to do each other hair and stuff like that, you know.
So did you cut Jimmy's hair, or
Jimmy
did he
had
cut yours?
Jimmy had kind of like long hair.
Oh, okay.
We used to kind of do the hair thing.
Oh, I got you.
You know, when the processing and all that stuff was in. You know, slide, fried, and slinked to the side. But anyway, yeah, I knew Jimmy quite well. Jimmy was a really nice cat, man. I had a lot of admiration for him. He was a cool and a kind brother.
Okay.
You know, I've never seen him upset. But this is not about Jimmy. It's about getting back to working with Rudy. So
yeah. So Tony was your manager.
Tony was the manager, and then finally, when we came back off the road. Working with Richard, that was the end of that tour.
Okay.
So we had to do something. Tony ended up working at Dolphins of Hollywood, and that's where he and Rudy hooked up together, and that's when he became Rudy's manager, and they started working together to do things to get Rudy's career going. And that's when they heard this guy, this wino that used to come there all the time. What was his name?
Rico.
Rico. You know it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Rico used to come to Dolphins of Hollywood, and he used to repeat this particular. Was it Dolemite?
Yeah.
It was Dolemite.
Right.
And Rudy liked it. He liked it very much. And Tony told Rudy, said, Rudy, you ought to record that. And Rudy, what he did was he went and bought him bought him a bottle of wine and brought him back down there.